When you look at a map of Brazil's agricultural frontier, it appears to be a single, unified zone of expansion. But on the ground, it is a fragmented mosaic of competing territories, state policies, and vastly different rules. Now, picture two neighboring farms growing the exact same crop, separated by nothing but an invisible state line. Because of that border, the farmer on the left operates with legal security and access to top-tier financing. The farmer on the right is trapped in some zone of constant operational risk, struggling to prove their crop is legal. A farm's credit rating and export eligibility now rest on its environmental compliance record. The paperwork has evolved into the defining factor for a property's financial survival. For years, producers treated environmental regularization as a frustrating, mandatory chore. You filled out the forms, filed them away, and went back to farming. That mindset bottlenecked the national car system. 10 million registrations flooded the database, representing an area larger than the country itself. But capturing data is easy. Verifying is hard. Today, less than 2% have been analyzed and confirmed by state authorities. Then, the European Union rolled out its deforestation regulation, and domestic banks started tightening their credit lines. A pending registration was no longer good enough. International buyers now require the precise geo-coordinates of the harvest site to verify that no forest was cleared to grow the crop. The market is shifting its focus from volume to verifiable proof. Compliance now functions as an aggressive gatekeeper. If you cannot prove your environmental standing, you cannot access global capital. Because Brazil operates as a decentralized federation, the 6 states making up this agricultural frontier responded to these market pressures differently. They turned into a real-time laboratory of competing regulatory strategies. First, you have the simplifiers, states like Maranhão and Rondônia. They aggressively cut red tape, allowing producers to enter the formal system quickly through self-declared data. The problem is that lowering upfront barriers requires massive back-end monitoring to verify those self-declarations. Without that strict follow-up, international markets look at the resulting data and reject it as untrustworthy. On the other extreme are the controllers, like Pará. They look at this stark physical border, prioritizing heavy, ground-level verification to appease international scrutiny. But when every property requires deep manual analysis, the verification process slows to a crawl. This administrative gridlock unintentionally strangles legal, sustainable agricultural expansion. Both extreme models fail the modern producer. One sacrifices vital market trust, while the other cripples operational speed. There is a third approach. States like Mato Grosso and Goiás operate as hybrids, landing in a regulatory sweet spot that balances administrative ease with high-tech enforcement. Their systems simplify the initial entry for the farmer, but they verify the physical reality using integrated satellite monitoring. By automating the cross-referencing of satellite imagery with property claims, these states process thousands of registrations and clear the regulatory backlog without sacrificing environmental integrity. They take the mandated cost of compliance and successfully turn it into a verified, capitalized asset for the producer. If you are an agribusiness investor looking at the Brazilian frontier today, how do you calculate the actual value of a farm? 10 years ago, you looked at soil quality, rainfall averages, and the distance to the nearest export highway. This bar chart shows 2 identical farms side by side, but look at the bottom line. Valuation is now tied to a property's verified environmental data, including its fully analyzed CAR and preserved natural areas. The results show up in the bank: lower interest rates, higher land appraisal values, and an open path to European supply chains that are closed to unverified neighbors. Verified environmental compliance has become just as valuable a commodity as the physical soybeans or cattle being harvested from the soil. While Brazilian states are still debating how to optimize their compliance systems, the global standard has already moved into the next phase. In Italy, the regulatory framework uses a conditional system. Agricultural financial incentives are linked to specific environmental performance metrics. Holland relies on continuous technological monitoring. This allows them to maintain environmental compliance in real time without administrative lag. And England pays farmers directly for the ecosystem services their land provides. Preservation itself is treated as a source of revenue. These European models show that once the data is verified, it stops being a liability and starts being a source of direct profit. For Brazil's frontier, Building this data infrastructure is not just about clearing a backlog, it is about establishing the foundation for the next era of agricultural investment.